Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to our show. We have gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the multiverse, two of the nerdiest geeks to be found. We proudly present the professor and her geeky girlness herself, Ace. And now it's time. GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace.
Hey everybody, welcome to GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace, episode 54.
Yay!
Yay!
It's over a year we've been doing this.
We have been doing this for over a year. We even had a few weeks off, and it's still over 52 episodes. So yeah, we're trucking along past a year. Ooh, we're old veterans now.
I know. Why aren't we better at it yet?
Well, Keith thinks we're great, so we'll go with that.
Yeah, Keith has nothing but compliments, but I wish I was as good as Keith thinks I am.
I feel the same way, so I get that. Hey, we have a comment from Jessica. She says hi to us. Hey, Jessica, glad to see you with us. We are going to talk tonight about, we're going to go to the well that we love, talking about some of our favorite classic movies. We said we're going to do from 1960 to 1964 tonight. So
if you guys haven't seen this, we started with the silent era of movies.
Yes, we did.
All the way up to 1959.
Yeah.
So go back. We do like 5 years. And so go back and watch some of those videos as well if you want to know some of our favorite picks for older movies than the 1960s. But
and for people that don't know, AJ and I both love classic movies. Love them, love them, love them. And we want to share the love. That's why we're doing this. Share our love of some of these movies. And the 60s have some amazing movies.
They do. It's always hard to pick. We always say that. We started out saying we were going to do 5.
Yep.
For the 5 years. They didn't have to be 1 per year, but 5. We never, ever get it narrowed down to 5.
No.
We tend to have 10 to 12 that we like, and then we try to get it narrowed down to 8 for the show.
Yeah.
But, it happens. It happens. It's fine.
It does. It does. So
the 80s are going to be difficult.
I think we'll have to do a year, most definitely. 1 a year, yeah, because it'll be laden with that. Jessica also says you guys are awesome and fun. Well, thank you, Jessica. We think you're pretty awesome ourselves. So
Jessica is, if you guys don't know and you didn't see last week's episode, Jessica is part of Heroes for Kids, which is having a con in July, and we are going to be there.
We are going to be there, and it looks like not only are you and I going to be there from GeekyKOOL, but we're also going to have Mandy and her family going to show up, and we're going to have Mr. Keith, who's kind of an honorary member for us. He does a lot of the videos with us, so we're going to be well represented there. We're super excited for it. So
I'm stoked. Go back to a con. Yes,
I know, right? No doubt.
For a cause, I'm there.
That's even better, right? So, and go back and check out last week's episode if you didn't see it. But talking about a con that you get bang for your buck, guys, it's $5 at the door and $10 for exclusive stuff where you can get in early. I mean, you can't get into one day at most cons for under $50.
And here's the thing: it is a small con, but they have huge names for such a small con. It's only been doing it for a couple of years. But the big kicker is, if you guys don't know what Heroes for Kids is, then go check out what Heroes for Kids is, because they do so much good. It started in Missouri, but they expanded and they're all over the place. And it is such an amazing charity and nonprofit that does so much for children, that I personally think that if I was walking in with $5 and I had $10, I would just pay the extra 10 just so they'd have a little extra money, because you're not going to get you're going to get way more than you expect for $5. So.
And she's got a couple other comments here for us. Awesome. And then she's got the Facebook link, and that link is right here, guys. Heroes for Kids, Perryville Mo. Go to that link, check it out if you don't know what it is, if you didn't see last week. Hopefully you'll go back and check out last week's episode. That was amazing with them. But we want to get going on our movies because we've got a list. And this time we decided to do it a little differently and kind of decided this on the fly right before. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. We're going to do it movies per year and talk about some of our favorite ones, starting with 1960 and moving up to 1964. Jessica also says, help kids in our real life heroes. I agree completely. That's the amazing part of you guys, Jessica. Most definitely. We're so glad you do what you do. So, all right. So to get us started.
So many good movies in 1960.
There is.
Many good movies just in 1960. From comedies to horror to suspense. It's just mind-boggling. Go and look up the movies that are in this time period because it's amazing. So, Professor, 1960, what do you got for me?
Well, let's go.
Are we starting with me or you?
Well, I can throw one out here. Let me throw one out here. This is a classic science fiction movie based off of a book that's also a classic. And I'm talking about the great time-traveling The Time Machine.
Thank God you put this on your list. Do you know it went on my list, off my list, on my list, off my list so much because I'm like, I love it, but I tried to narrow that down.
Yeah.
So, first of all, the book is amazing. This adaptation of the book is really good. Of course, anytime there's an adaptation of a book, you miss some points in it.
Right.
But the acting, the script was on point. The props for 1960 were amazing. The Time Machine itself is a beautiful testament to what a good prop can do. If that had been bad, the movie wouldn't have been as good. So, love this movie.
It's a great movie. It's science fiction classic. I mean, you can't get much more classic than this movie when you're talking about science fiction and time travel. It all really comes back down to every movie about time travel has their own little twist on the rules, but you have to go back to the time machine to set the standard. So this movie just had to be on my list. And I just watched it like a month ago. I caught it on somewhere and it just re-engrossed me right back into it.
Yeah. The ending.
Yeah.
So good. So good. And it is. The book itself is classic science fiction.
Yes, it is.
If you love science fiction now, I urge you to go back and read some of these classic science fiction books because without them, you wouldn't have the science fiction that you have now. Without stuff like this, it wouldn't have evolved the way it has. And so, yeah.
And the interesting thing that you have both H.G. Wells, who wrote The Time Machine, along with Jules Verne going on at the same time, having kind of a different perspective, but both putting an amazing science fiction book after science fiction book of this time frame.
Yeah. And such good stories that they can be retold now and still be relevant. That is a huge thing. They don't age themselves in the point that, yes, they're set in a specific time, but they don't age themselves in that they're only for a specific time audience.
Right.
Like, this movie and the book and the story and the stories that both those two gentlemen wrote are timeless.
Yes.
So, good pick.
Thanks. I do too. Of course, it was my pick. So, well, let's go on with one of yours here. So
pop the picture up and I'll talk.
I will definitely pop the picture up. Here is one I have not seen, but it looks like I need to see. And of course, these always happen where you've seen stuff I haven't.
Oh my God. This is such a cute movie, okay? Doris Day, David Nevins. Right there, you got she sings Que Sera Sera in this movie.
Yep, yes, she does.
It is such a cute story. They live in the city. He is a theater critic. She's a stay-at-home mom with boys.
Yeah.
One of the boys named Adam is the youngest, and they have to lock him in a cage because he's an escape artist. And they decide to move to the country because that's their plan. Move to the country. Well, David Nevin's job gets increased, and he gets a promotion kind of thing, and he is now trying to balance that, and she is living her best country life as basically a single mom who happens to be married to someone who's always not home.
Right. With 4 kids.
Yeah. 4 boys.
Yeah.
4 boys. Such a funny movie. She sings a song in it called Please Don't Eat the Daisies, and it is literally based off her sons come in with daisies and they've eaten the daisies.
Oh my goodness.
So she made up a song, and it's just cute. I watched it with my kids when they were younger. I've watched it with my grandchildren. And one of the things I love about Doris Day is she doesn't always, she's put out some ones that at the time were a little, ooh, Doris Day is doing a little bit more mature things, but she does such great family. Mm-hmm. You can watch it with your grandmother and not be embarrassed. You can watch it with your child and not be embarrassed. And there's no parts where you're like, oh, I should not be watching this with them. Right. It's super cute. You have to watch it.
I saw that and I'm like, I've seen it listed before, but I've just never caught it. So it's going to be one of those I go and look for. So especially when I'm kind of in that I just want something to entertain me mode.
Super cute, super funny. It's a comedy, and it's your traditional family type comedy that you would expect from 1960s television, right? But translated into a movie. So good.
And didn't they make a television series based off of that in the 60s after that? I think they did.
They made something similar. It wasn't quite the same, but it was. They moved to I think it's called Hoot and Holler is the name of and so they made something about that town, if I remember right.
Because I saw that when I was looking at this one through IMDb that it did list a television show. So in the 60s. So yeah, all right. So we have one other from the 60s, and it is on both of our lists. Yay! It's extremely high on my list, as you can imagine.
One, if anyone knows the professor, they would not be surprised by this filmmaker being on his list.
It's true. It's my favorite filmmaker. It's a killer of a movie too.
and it's so classic. Vivian Leigh, seriously. Janet Leigh, Vivian Leigh's daughter.
Yeah. Right.
Jamie Lee Curtis's mom.
Yes.
The Scream Queen, the original Scream Queen.
Yep.
And of course, shower scene. And we're talking about seriously. This movie was one of those movies I watched with my mom. I love this movie so much. Anthony Perkins was such a perfect
he was
casting.
And the ending completely caught me by surprise the first time I saw it. Now, I was a lot younger then, so I probably got caught more by surprise than I would now by a lot of stuff. But completely caught me by surprise. I'm like, oh gosh. Yeah.
I do not know anyone who doesn't know about this movie.
Right.
Let alone hasn't seen it. That at least not anyone that would admit it to me, because I would shame them so hard.
Yes. As they should be. Shame on you for not knowing this one.
It's Psycho.
But AJ, it's black and white.
Oh my God. I had somebody tell me that. Seriously. I don't watch black and white movies. I'm like, here we go.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that sets the tone for this movie. It shouldn't be in color.
It shouldn't. It would. First of all, the shadows, the effect of the shower with the water, and in black and white is such a dramatic scene, and it's so cinematography on it is just amazing. And if it was in color, it would lose some of that in translation.
Right.
Because Hitchcock was making the movie for black and white.
He was.
I love it when people are like, they should try to make it color. And I'm like, but it was made for black and white, which means that the person making the film, person who has that creative vision of the film, in this case, Alfred Hitchcock, has shadows in certain spots. Like nothing in filmmaking, and this is what, like, maybe not so much today, but back in the day, nothing in filmmaking was left to chance.
Right.
Every little detail was put there for a reason. So, yeah, you can't beat it. I
agree completely. That this one was number 2 on my list. It went back and forth, and I left it on number 2.
It was number 3 on my list.
Yeah.
Like if we rank them from what our favorites are and stuff, it was number 3 on mine. But it is one of those movies that is so classic and so just. It's hard to say this, but because I try not to say the P word with movies, but the perfection of this movie for what it was supposed to be and what it became, it surpassed, I think, even Hitchcock's idea of what it was going to be. And to surpass a filmmaker who puts so much into his films, I think that in itself is a testament to the script, to the acting, Anthony Perkins. I mean, seriously. Yes, the other Psychos, okay, this one, perfection for him.
No, right. Agreed.
So
they made sequels that were okay. And then they did a remake that was all right. But this is the classic. This is the one.
The thing with the remake is it didn't have Hitchcock's eye.
You're right.
And that's not that it's a bad movie. It's just not Psycho the way Hitchcock wanted it.
Right.
And there are certain movies that Hitchcock did, or certain filmmakers did that cannot be done the same and shouldn't be done again because they can never capture that eye that they had for that movie.
Well, if it's a perfect movie anyway, we're close to a perfect movie, there's no reason to remake it. Just watch the original. We don't need a retelling. It's okay to take a movie that is a not great adaptation to something and then remake it, make it a better adaptation, or if you're going to take it into a whole different storyline, but don't just remake a movie to remake a movie, especially one that's this good. So anyway, we'll get off our high horse on that one. So we'll go to 1961, which I found interesting that you didn't have that many in 1961, but I've got more, and mine are a wide, crazy variety. It's not all noir and Hitchcock films.
I have less than 61 because of the following years. And I tried to narrow it down.
I know.
But these other ones, I'll cut some from 61. Also, there were some in 61 that I kind of thought you would mention.
Okay. We'll see if I mention them.
Yeah. Well, since you have more, why don't you go first?
Well, I'm going to go and start us off with a musical, AJ. Like I said, I'm hitting a
musical I had on my list.
I'm hitting a wide variety here. 61. I have 3 very extremely different movies on here.
Okay.
And the first one you can't help but to sing along with.
Please. Oh.
It's not the one you wanted.
That's okay. It's still a really good story.
So I love West Side Story. I love the musical play that it's based off of. I have always found it a really amazing adaptation of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
It's probably one of the best adaptations of a Shakespearean play brought forward,
right,
and placed in modern times, or at the time, what was modern times, and done in a way that still held the story true.
Right.
Shakespeare, but modernized it. It was done very, very well. I love this one. It's not.
And now we have to know what's on. What was the one you wanted?
It's okay. We'll talk about it.
Well, and again, Natalie Wood. Amazing, beautiful, just an extremely amazing actress. I do enjoy some Natalie Wood.
She was such a great child actress turned young woman actress.
Yes.
That's a very difficult thing to go through, especially in the time that she did, because take Shirley Temple, for instance.
Right.
A few years before her. But Shirley Temple had that hard adjustment to where everyone still wanted her to be a little girl.
Right.
Becoming a young woman. And Natalie Wood's had the same problem, but where Shirley Temple just stopped liking acting because of the problems she had, I think.
Right.
Natalie Wood still had a passion for acting, and she still went on to do, several teenage aged movies, this being one of them, Rebel Without a Cause being another one.
Yep.
She is on, like, she makes my list on one of my shows. But it's a really good adaptation of Shakespeare, and it's a really good screen adaptation of a theater play.
Agreed. Those are both very hard things to do. One, it's very hard to adapt Shakespeare into a modern thing, and especially to make it a musical, and then to bring it to the screen with the ability that they did here was just incredible.
Right.
And
it still gives you that theater feel.
It does.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just go around going, jets.
Your jet? Are you a jet?
Yeah, I'm guessing I'm more Jets than Sharks. I don't know. The Jets one always stuck in my head more. I don't know. I do have more musicals on my list, which I thought you would find interesting because you're usually the musical person. I'm usually the more, let's have a dark detective film or something like that.
Yeah, the noir. But noir started to
fade away
in the 60s.
It did.
Not a lot of noir. I mean, there are some. But there's not a lot of, massive noirs to pick.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I like other things, sci-fi, comedy, and some other ones. So let's do yours, and then we'll jump into my last couple here. So now this one, I wanted to find a way to make it on my list because it's such a classic Disney movie. The original one, my wife, I think the first one she saw was the remake, and she prefers the remake, and I get it, but the original one I grew up on, and I love the original.
Parent Trap, Haley Mills, Pollyanna was the year before, and it was on my long list. But if I had to pick a Haley Mills movie, it would definitely be The Parent Trap. One, the fact that they had Haley Mills playing two separate roles, interacting with each other at the time, there's not like CGI.
Right.
Like she had a stand-in, and in some of the scenes, you can tell there's a stand-in. They don't show their face. But it's just such a childhood memory for me.
Oh, yeah.
Love. When the Magic World of Disney, Sunday night movie.
Always. 6:00 Sunday night after the wild, the Mutual Omaha's Wild
the
Kingdom.
Wild
Yes. Yes. You had to watch the animals consume each other, and then you can watch Disney.
And we watched Disney.
Yes.
So we watched, Pollyanna came on that, and I was little, and my mom was like, oh, there was another really good movie that she was in. It was like a year later. And so we went and rented it. And we liked it so much that we bought it.
Yeah.
From the movie rental place. I still have it. It's I'm like, it's down there. But the thing about it is I've watched it with my kids. I've watched it with my grandkids. Lex, I watched the Lindsay Lohan one with her. She liked it. I watched the Haley Mills one with her. She loved it. She wanted to watch it over and over again. They made a part 2. There's a Parent Trap part 2 and part 3.
Really?
Yep. Haley Mills as a grown-up. Yep.
Interesting.
There's 2 of them. Both twins have to find love, and their kids are doing stuff, and yeah. But it's just a really good Disney show, and I had to put it on over Pollyanna because of the technical stuff that they did for it.
Right.
And, it's fun. I just can't imagine playing in a role with myself, like opposite myself.
Right. Well, and especially knowing you're playing your own sister, you're meeting for the first time, and you meet at camp. I mean, come on, that's too fun.
Yeah. And they have such different personalities. It showed the range of Haley Mills she's a young actress in this. She is
She's
teenage
very
actress.
young. Yeah.
And so it showed her range in such an amazing way. I adored her. I really wanted to be Haley Mills when I was little. I'm not now.
That's all right.
But we got to bring Maureen O'Hara plays the mom. David Keith plays the dad.
Yeah.
You have Maureen O'Hara.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and the dad, he's in lots of things, but he's always cool. I'm like, man, I never remember his name, but I'm always like, I always like him. So he's one of those actors that.
That man.
Guy. He is. Yeah, he's that guy. Yeah.
You remember that guy from that movie?
And he's like the dad in like half of the Disney movies of this time frame.
Yes.
So, but he's great. So, but no, this is a great pick. I saw that on the list and thought, okay, cool, because I really like that one.
Trying to balance these out.
Oh, most definitely. Yes, we're finding an interesting balance tonight. All right, so the next movie addresses a lot of race issues in the early 60s with one of my favorite actors of all time, Sidney Poitier. It's A Raisin in the Sun. Very interesting movie. Basically, the whole family is living in a little small apartment, and they get an insurance check. I can't remember what the insurance check was for, but it causes them to have money that their family would have never had before.
Right.
And they move to the suburbs into the white district.
The white neighborhood.
Which, isn't supposed to just be a white neighborhood, but not everybody's as welcoming.
Well, the thing is, it didn't have like the regulation. Here's the thing, back in that time, there were segregated neighborhoods.
There were.
If they didn't have it in their HOA or that's where homeowners associations, believe it or not, that's kind of where they came from, is to keep people they didn't want out of their neighborhood.
And they're kind of Nazis that way anyway. I'm not really a fan of theirs. So,
yeah.
I mean, don't tell me what to do with my own house and lawn.
Right?
Right. Anyway.
But this is such. First of all, Sidney Poitier.
Yes.
There's a reason he's a legend.
Yes, it is.
His voice and his ability to storytell with his body language and just that face that he gets when you feel exactly what he's feeling. And
yes, you do.
The supporting cast also. This is not a time when, this sounds terrible, but when black movies were being made.
Right. No, you're exactly right. Yeah.
Black movies were not a thing. It's not like the Tyler Perry era of filmmaking.
Right.
It is literally exact opposite. If you had a black character in a movie, they were usually a servant.
Right.
Or, you know, they were hardly ever, up until this time period, ever filmed as an equal to a white person in the movie.
Right. Well, and kind of actually shows how much better they are than some of their white neighbors because of their actions. So that right there, that's incredibly intense for that time frame.
Yeah, no, it's one of those movies that now, if it was made, it would still have an important message, because it has that message of like against prejudice and against segregation. However, the time that it was made, it was so mind-boggling that it was made.
Right.
Even green light to be made.
Right. Right.
The amount of hate that came with some of this movie.
Yes.
In society.
Yeah.
So amount of, I hate the expression being woke, but back then it was actually something that happened. The amount of people waking up to what was actually happening because of movies like this. But this movie is one of those that was just a slap in the face to America.
Yeah.
So it's an important movie. I'm glad you put it on your list.
Well, Sidney Poitier is one of those actors that he's just so amazing, and this movie is so important. I just had to put it on my list. It's hard to watch at points. It's a very hard to watch movie, and especially realizing it just brings back, it wasn't too that long ago since people actually acted this way, and there are people that still do, but it's not acceptable as it was.
Well, here's the thing, and I might get into a little trouble for saying this. We've come a long way.
We have.
I know people who say we haven't. And I understand that we have not come as far as we should have.
Right.
And we have not come as far as we need to be. Especially when it comes to race or discrimination against sex, gender, sexuality. None of that has come as far as it needs to be.
Right. Agreed.
But if you look back 1960s or past or back further, we've come a long way.
We have.
In the fact that when this movie came out, to say a movie it's a movie about a black family.
Right.
What? No. They had, and I'm not saying they didn't have black cinema or cinema that was black families. Like Lena Horne played in some great movies. And there are several other actors who played in some great movies, but they weren't shown they were shown in black theaters. Because that's the thing, guys. There were white theaters and there were black theaters. Or there was black nights at the theater if you lived in a smaller town. And that's just how it was. So the fact that this movie got made and the fact that it got greenlit when it did, I think shows where the civil rights movement was.
Right. Yes.
So yeah, good pick. I like it when you pick things that have power behind them.
I agree.
I did not pick hardly any that. One, my favorite. My number one pick has power behind it.
It does. It does have power behind it. Yeah. So this next one kind of surprised me. It wasn't on your list, but I thought maybe your assumption was it was going to make my list. It's So we've gone from musical
Yes.
to very intense drama showing the heart
Political.
So now
Race.
we're going to go very artsy, and I don't know how to describe it other than artsy, but we're going to go with Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Okay, so this will never make my list.
Not a fan.
Okay, I love Audrey.
Yeah,
Love her. Not my even favorite top 5 movie that she did.
sure.
I understand the importance of it. I understand why it is so important to so many people. I've just never been a huge fan of it. But tell me why it's on your list.
I like a weird, quirky, artsy movie once in a while. And this one is just about the antithesis of it. I mean, it's just, you're kind of like going, what? Oh, okay, just go with
odd.
It's an odd movie, but that's what makes me like it because it's so freaking odd. And, Audrey Hepburn's a great actress. So I just, the first time I watched it, I wasn't that impressed with it, but then I watched it again. And the more I watched it, the more intrigued I am with this movie. I'm just it's
very well done.
Yeah.
It has nuances. It has
It does.
that are not explained in the movie that you're supposed to grasp from the movie. It's
the ending. What? Okay.
This is part of it. Is this was before Twitter, so your movie directors and stuff couldn't go on Twitter and explain what they just did.
Right.
Which is something they do now.
Well, you shouldn't have to do that. Just let it be.
It's just this here's the ending.
Right. Yeah. Stopping in the alleyway, and you're like, what is going on? I don't know. It's so quirky that I'm just drawn to this movie because it's something that catches me by surprise.
It is very surprising. And here's the thing: there's nothing wrong with this movie. When I say it's never going to be on my top 5,
it's just not.
Audrey, it's just not.
No, right.
Such a big repertoire of movies.
Yeah, she does. Sabrina is my favorite one of hers. So. No, I agree. I like Sabrina better. This one's just, I don't know. It's hard to go 1961 without Breakfast at Tiffany's.
It is. I tried.
And then I brought you back. I don't give you the musical you want, and then I bring up Breakfast at Tiffany's. What are you doing?
Here's the thing about it. But I like when I was perusing through movies. This is what I do: is I look at the list of movies that were made each year that we're doing, and I'm like, I like that one. I like that one. I like, that one's got to go on there. This one, it came up,
right?
And I'm just like, and I could talk about it for the merit of the movie, like I could.
And I made you do it.
Because it is a movie that has that merit,
right?
That respectability, that story, that cinematography, the way it's filmed, all of that stuff it had. It's just never been a movie that I've watched it 5 times, and I just don't have an interest in watching it again. And that's why it didn't make my list. It's not because I don't think it's a good movie. It's just I put movies on my list that I'm like, if I'm flipping through the channels and it's on, I'm going to stop.
Well, and see, this is one that I do that with, just because I don't know if I'm still just trying to figure it out, or if it's visually it's a beautiful movie.
It's like the cinematography and the filming of it and the direction of it is stunning. The wardrobe, the simplicity and yet complexity of just Audrey Hepburn's black dress.
Right.
Black dress. That's the reason we have the little black dress.
And it works, by the way.
On her.
It works on every woman. A little black dress.
Really.
You know what? I think she's cute. I am not gaga over her. I just think she's a really good actress. So
she is.
So we know I've got girls that I'm gaga for. She's not on my list, but I find her very cute, but I like her acting. So
she's very girl next door.
She is very girl next door, which I don't mind girl next door. It's just,
yeah.
I prefer Mary Ann to Audrey, but that's okay. I mean, just whatever. We'll just, anyway, we don't need to talk about that anymore.
One of these days we're going to get through movies and then we're going to just go back to TV shows.
That's probably true. We're probably going to go.
And then music. And then something.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's go with one of yours here.
Okay.
1962. 1962. Let's go with this one. You can tell me about this one.
This is Gypsy.
Yes, it is.
Natalie Wood. Plays
another Gypsy. Natalie Wood movie.
Yep, and in this one, she plays Gypsy Rose Lee.
Right.
If anyone doesn't know who Gypsy Rose Lee is, you should Google her. Basically, the inventor of the striptease.
Right.
This is about her story and her story with her mother, her struggle with her mother. It's based loosely on a true story. They're like Gypsy Rose helped with telling of the story, but of course they adapt things.
Right.
All of this stuff. Gypsy Rose Lee had a very interesting life. Her family, especially her sister, was a vaudeville star. If you don't know what vaudeville was, it's like the traveling theater. Before movies were out and before all of that, and so that's what how people got their entertainment. She was a cute little blonde girl who, and Gypsy, whose name was not really Gypsy. She literally was the one who was behind the scenes. She was shy. And her sister leaves her mom, gets married, runs away, does that sort of thing. And she's left with Gypsy. And she's like, I'm going to make you a star. But she tries to turn her into her sister.
Right.
It doesn't work. And they get booked at like these bad places, and they get booked at a strip joint, and they think that the group are strippers, but they're like teenage girls,
right?
But they're broke, and there's an opening for an act, and it pays like a lot of money, and her mother basically forces her to go on stage, and that is the day that Gypsy Rose Lee Gypsy Rose was born. She got out on stage. She took off a glove, dropped it. That's all. Eventually, she became a premier burlesque dancer. She was no longer a stripper, like what we call, and this is not stripper like what we were thinking, like totally nude stripper anyway. It was more burlesque. They had acts. They had fun. But she became the highest paid burlesque act in the world.
Right.
And this is her story. And it's such a cool story. Bette Midler there was another movie with Bette Midler that she did that. She plays the mother in it. But this version with Natalie Wood as Gypsy is my favorite, and it's just really good. I really, really like it.
Oh, it's a good movie.
It's one of those movies that it's like, yeah, I can watch that again. So.
All right. No, that did not make my list, but I thought, yeah, all right. I've seen that. It's been a while. I've not watched it since the first time, but yeah.
The cast is amazing, and even the background cast, the supporting cast, the people who just come in and out of the scenes, they're just amazing. And you will see a lot of familiar faces. You just don't know where you know them from. They're that guys.
Right.
But it's a stunning cast. The script is amazing. It really shows I think it's the movie, the role that showed Natalie Wood as an adult.
Right. This is definitely the transition to an adult. Yeah.
And she starts out in the movie as a kid,
right.
Age kid, and so by the end, though, she is the #1 burlesque performer in the world, and you see her in, her burlesque outfit. So you see Natalie Wood in pasties and hardly anything, and that transition I think was a huge thing for her.
I have to say I have more of a thing for Natalie Wood. So yeah, that's anyway.
I figured.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's the eyes.
Definitely the eyes. Yeah. So I'm going to go with, when talking about an amazing cast, I'm going to go with a very iconic movie that has a cast that's just incredible. And the movie is just as incredible as the cast. So it's not just a great cast. It is an amazing movie. Oh, get rid of that. Having things pop up in front of you as you're trying to pull stuff up. Let's talk about The Manchurian Candidate.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I'm surprised that one didn't make your list, but I know you have to move stuff down. Frank Sinatra, Lawrence Harvey, Janet Leigh, Angela Lansbury, Henry Silva. It just goes on. This cast is incredible all the way through. This movie is such a political intrigue movie.
I mean, yeah.
It's hard not to like it. It has almost a noir feel to this movie. So here's one that has a bit of a feel. It's a little different than what they were in the 40s, but it definitely has a feel.
But it's filmed in a very noir style.
It is.
It has lots of dark shadows.
Yes.
Lots of places where secrets can hide.
Which is what it's all about.
The women are dressed impeccably.
Yes, they are.
Lansbury in this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, stunning.
So I had not seen this before I had watched Murder, She Wrote. So that's how I knew Angela Lansbury. And then I went back and I saw this and I went, oh, she's a hottie.
Yeah, no, it's a thing. It's a thing. I think the first, not the first movie I ever saw her in, but the earliest role that I remember her in is, I think it's National Velvet. She's one of the sisters.
Yeah.
Sister. Stunning. Just stunning. She's one of those actresses that can pull off anything in person. Not just a couple years. Decades.
Right.
Like longevity in the business is Angela Lansbury.
Right. Yeah, she went for at least 4 or 5 decades filming stuff. Yeah, she
at 1920s. She was in stuff in the 1920s, and she did.
I did not remember that. So 1920. Wow. Okay.
Very end of 1920s. It's like.
All right. I was thinking 1940s, but okay. Yeah. There we go.
Young, but.
So.
I'm sure there was like a thing that she did in like as a really young child at like 1929 or something like that. Maybe 1931 or 2. But
it's right there. Yeah.
But she went from child actress to adult actress to older adult actress.
Yes.
It's a hard thing to do.
It is a hard thing to do.
But
I agree.
This movie shows not only her acting chops, but Frank Sinatra. Here's the other thing.
Right.
Frank Sinatra played in lots of movies. And of course, everyone knows him as Blue Eyes.
Right.
Sure. This movie showed the depth of his talent.
Yes, it did.
When it came to acting.
No, I completely agree. This movie, you get that crossover from singer to actor sometimes, and sometimes it think Elvis. I love Elvis.
They're more singer than actor.
Right.
Until this point, had singer than
Exactly. Will Smith's a great example. We don't think of Will Smith as a singer anymore. We think of him as an actor, but
he used to sing.
I mean, he was a rapper. He was an 80s rapper. Parents just don't understand.
But it's very hard for crossover. Not back then. Back then, Elvis made hundreds of movies. Like,
yes,
they did that. They like took your popularity and put you in movies.
Right,
but
right.
to do movies and you actually be good actor is a different situation.
It is.
Not that Elvis was a bad actor. He was an okay actor.
He did what you needed. He played a certain role that you wanted.
He played Elvis in every role.
He did.
And Frank Sinatra had done roles before.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of comedy, romantic.
Yep.
Thing. This was, I don't know, a pivotal point where people realized that he was a double talent.
Yeah, he's legitimate. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Completely.
The script, amazing.
It is.
Fine. Fabulous. I mean, they redid it.
They have, and again, it wasn't needed, but
it wasn't filmed in black and white.
And it wasn't filmed in black and white. Again, we go back to black and white, people, because that tells you so much of the shadows and everything else.
Because it's the nuances of the filming it. Her wearing a white gown against all the shadows. That picture alone. See all the shadows behind, all the dark. First of all, also look, none of the men in this picture are looking at either one of them.
Right.
That is amazing directing.
Yes.
It is. They are the focus of our attention, but not the focus of what's going on.
Right.
And that's beautiful. The sharp white pocket.
Yep. The handkerchief.
Pocket square.
Yeah. Pocket square. Yeah.
Her pearls. The way her face is half in the shadows.
Yep.
Lets you know that she has a secret. The way his hand is up guarding lets you know he has. You know what I mean? It's details that get missed in a lot of modern movies. That in black and white, it can tell the story so much, like, more in depth just by doing that. And it's a talent. It's not something that you can do. Even back then, there are a lot of black and white movies that are okay.
Right.
You had a master of it. Like Hitchcock was a master of it.
Oh, he was.
Had a master of it. So much can be told from the shadows behind the people. So.
Agreed.
Watch some black and white movies, people.
Most definitely, because there's some awesome black and white movies out there. So there's some awesome color ones too.
There are. We'll get to those.
We will. And I'm going to give you one of yours, and I'm going to step out for just a second because I forgot my power cord because I'm an idiot. And so I need to power up.
I'll take mine over to the other side of the room so I can plug it in a little bit.
So let's go. Okay. So we're going to leave the other one for last for you. So we're going to go, even though they could be argued.
I can talk about the other one longer, so you can.
Well, it's not going to take me but 30 seconds probably. So let's talk a little bit about Baby Jane.
Oh, okay. This movie, everyone who's watched any of these other videos that we've done with these movies knows that I have a love for Bette Davis.
Yep. Look at her eyes. It's the Bette Davis eyes for a reason.
Right. I think that she has, in her career, had more movies that I consider pivotal movies that people should watch than almost any other actor ever.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to grab my power cord. You keep talking because I agree with you because we both know. And of course, we've got Joan Crawford in the background along with Bette Davis. So
and the thing is that they did not necessarily like each other that much in real life. And it translated into the film, but it translated into the film in a beautiful way. It is creepy. It is, again, vaudeville. We talked about vaudeville with Gypsy Rose. This is Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. And Joan Crawford and Betty Davis play sisters. So it could potentially be the story of Gypsy Rose Lee and her sister if they wouldn't have done what they did. But Betty Davis plays an ex-vaudeville star who used to be known as the cute little girl and, with the little ringlets, and she needs her sister to take care of her, and she needs to take, and her and her sister have this love-hate relationship that is translated on this screen like nobody's business. And 90% of the movie is just those two people.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
it is.
Oh. And the other people who show up, you see a couple other people, they're not important. They push the story forward a little, but they're not important. The dynamic between those two people and those two actresses and the complexity that they bring to the relationship that these sisters have is undeniably real.
Right.
And you feel this respect for each other, but this dislike for each other that translates you can tell from real life to the movie.
Right.
Such a good movie. If you guys have not seen it, if you guys find you want to find one actress from back in the day you want to watch, pick Betty Davis, because just the amount of movies she has. My favorite movie of all time, which is All About Eve. We've already talked about that. But so many amazing movies, and this one is one of those that she's really known for.
Yeah.
Not my favorite Betty Davis movie, but I could not leave it off the list.
I completely agree. I was so glad to see it on the list there.
She makes my list again lately.
Well, I understand. Well, and I would say, if you want to find a male actor you want to follow, do Bogey. But that's my love for Bogart.
Love of Bogart. I feel like that we both have that. There's almost always a Betty Davis movie in my list. There has been since she started acting, and we'll go up, and we're getting close to the end of, not completely, but we're getting close to the end of her being able to be in the list. Although she does have one in the 80s that I love, and I will mention it when we get there. But
yeah, no, in Bogey, I think he has ended his list, but so let me give one of mine here from 1962 as we're plugging away. What one was it again? Oh yeah. A very iconic movie, a very long movie, but it's epic, and I do love a good epic.
I do too, and I hope it's what I think.
And if not, you can give me a hard time. I'm talking to little Peter O'Toole in Lawrence of Arabia.
Not the one I was thinking. That's okay.
See, you gotta clue me in on what you're wanting here.
You're the one I was thinking of. It was on my short list, or my long list, but not my short list. Peter O'Toole, amazing. This
movie is almost 4 hours long, which is one of the longest ones out there for this time frame.
Because Epic started not being a thing.
Right, exactly.
Cleopatra was on my long list with Elizabeth Taylor. And
yes.
In this time period, didn't quite make my list, but it's also one of those last epics.
It is.
Spartacus was also on my long list.
And both of those made my long list also, along with the Ten Commandments, which is an amazing movie that's also an epic. But here's one of those great epic movies. The story of a English officer in World War I helping fight the Turks, and just a really fascinating movie.
Stunning.
Very stunning. You can turn the volume off and watch it, and that's how stunning it is. Yeah.
The visuals of like the sand again, like the mounds and the camel, and it's just visually appealing. Like
It is.
You could drink. This is gonna sound weird, and if you're a movie person like me, you know what I'm talking about. You could drink in the scenery.
Right.
You can just absorb it, and it's an amazing visual, like, performance. But it's, yeah, no, visually this is probably one of the most stunning movies, like, almost ever made. Like, it's up there.
Take the time to watch it. Make sure you've got time, because again, it's almost 4 hours long, but it's worth checking out. It's a really well told story. Visually, it's amazing, and it's an epic movie that when you talk to people about movies, this movie is always on the list of those epic great movies that a lot of people have never seen. So check out Lawrence of Arabia.
And it tells it tells us a historical story.
It does.
But in a way that is entertaining, which is hard to do.
It can be. But it definitely can be.
So we both had longer ones. I was thinking I couldn't remember what year Spartacus or Cleopatra, but I know they were on my long list. I was like, talking epic, and I'm like, oh, is it one of those? This was actually on my long list too. So,
well, and those two, again, along with the Ten Commandments, are on my long list of great epic movies. At the same time, the problem was, as we keep saying, there's so many great movies.
Yeah.
Even making lists as long as this one, we're leaving a ton of great stuff off there. Just because it's not on these lists doesn't mean it's not worth checking out. If you see a movie you think is interesting, watch it, because it probably is really well done.
And I would say go through and go look on, just even Wikipedia has like the years the movies were made in alphabetical, like American made movies in alphabetical, and they say who stars in them and like who directed them and all of that stuff. I would say pick a year. I challenge everyone to pick a year. Any year between silent films in 1965. Pick a year, look up a movie, look at the list, and if you recognize a name of somebody that you're like, oh, I think they're a good actor, watch that movie. Just one.
Yeah.
I guarantee you'll be hooked on old movies.
Yep. Agreed.
So amazing. So that's a great pick. I like it.
Well, thanks. Wasn't what you were thinking, but yeah.
Well, I was thinking, actually, the way you were talking, I was thinking it was going to be Spartacus.
Right. I'm Spartacus.
Yes, because epic and everything.
Yeah.
Of Arabia is, but my mind went back further in history.
Sure. Yeah, those both are good movies, great movies. So, all right, so let's go with your last one. So listen, this one was your top of that whole time frame, if I'm remembering correctly.
This movie is one of my top 5 movies of all time.
Yeah.
It's one of my top 5 books of all time.
Right.
It is one of those movies that is adapted from a book in a way that is beautiful.
Right.
And again, I love movie or story that tells an important message, but doesn't necessarily throw it in your face what the message is. It is little lessons that you learn. And this is To Kill a Mockingbird. Atticus Finch is, in many, many literary societies and literary circles, Atticus Finch is considered the best written character of all time.
Right.
The movie takes place, as you can see, in the South. Just by this picture, you can see it's the South.
Right.
Atticus is a lawyer, and in this small town in the South, and he has 2 children, Jim and Scout. And of course, down the road, they have like the spooky house with Boo Radley. And a new kid moves in who's from the city. You know, he's there for the summer. And during that summer, this black man gets accused of raping a white girl.
Mm-hmm.
And Atticus defends him.
Right.
I've had many people tell me, like, some of the most powerful, like, courtroom racial things was Matthew McConaughey saying, now picture her as a white girl or a black girl, you know, like,
right.
or a white girl, you know, in that. This has more.
Yes, it does.
This was written by Harper Lee. Harper Lee she only wrote one book. She wrote two, actually, but the second one that was released after, like, just a few years ago, is actually the same story. It's just a little different. But To Kill a Mockingbird, when they asked her why she didn't write more stories, and she said, I've already told the most important story there is to tell.
Mm-hmm.
This book, it changed my life as a teenager. I read it, I think I was 13 or 14.
Mm-hmm.
The movie Gregory Peck.
Yeah. Amazing.
Everything that I wanted Atticus Finch to be, he is.
Right.
People right now in our country, it's still very heated with racial stuff going on. I understand that. If you've never seen this movie, go see this movie, watch this movie, rent it, find it. I don't know where you'd find it. I'm sure it's probably on one of the streaming sites, or you can rent it on Amazon Prime or whatever.
Right.
A Raisin in the Sun is really important. You should do that one too. But this one seriously is what I found really important about this one is it was a white man defending a black man in the South against a whole town.
Right.
Lynch him.
Right.
And Atticus just sits in a chair on the steps. No weapon. Just sits in a chair on steps. Like, you have to go through me.
Right.
And the power of that sentiment is just amazing. And that it was written by, you know, a girl who was raised in the South, and you know she saw these things.
Right.
It's just, it's one of the most beautiful stories I've ever read in this adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
Don't touch it.
Agreed. This is an amazing movie, an amazing book, and very powerful. And if you get offended by it, it's okay. You're supposed to be offended. Figure it out.
The thing is I always tell people this. Anything that offends you, whether in art, which is books, movies, and visual art, if it offends you or makes you feel something that makes you uncomfortable, it has done its job. Right,
exactly.
And
that's exactly right.
And this book and this movie, even, I don't care how woke you are, it should make you uncomfortable.
Right.
It should make you uncomfortable and sad. And happy and sad. And it's just, it goes through the emotions, and it's told through the eyes of a child. And that is also something that's just amazing. So, yeah, it's one of my favorites. Can you tell?
I know. I'm glad to give you a chance to talk about it. So going on to 1963, neither one of us have a whole lot on there.
So many from 62.
I understand. So I'll throw mine up, and then we'll talk about it real briefly. And mine was towards the end of my list, but I wanted to talk about it anyway. And then we'll talk about yours from 63. And 63 had some great movies. Again, they just
It's hard. We're already over time. I'm just
and we're just in 1963. So
we have 63 and 64, guys. We have 2 more years.
yeah. So I'm going to talk about a movie. I think it was the second movie in the franchise. It may have been the third movie. Pretty sure it's the second movie. And it's not my favorite one from the franchise, but we'll talk about it. But it's one that's my second favorite in the franchise. And I'm going to go a little Bond. James Bond. From Russia with Love.
With love.
This, I adore this movie. I adore this movie in so many ways. Sean Connery, I think, really got into the groove of being Bond, at least the movie Bond. We know the movie Bond is very different than the book Bond.
Oh, God.
But he really started hitting his own. And after Dr. No, and then we got From Russia with Love. I love the train scene on this. I think that's just an iconic scene. I love the little the explosive thing at the embassy. The whole idea that you're trying to convert her over to come to the ally side from Russia, and he falls in love with her. It's just I don't know. I love a good Bond movie. It's hard to beat a Bond movie, and Sean Connery is my favorite Bond. So yeah, From Russia with Love.
Professor knows I'm not a huge Bond fan. I appreciate them for what they are.
Yep.
It's okay. That's what makes it beautiful. We don't have to like everything.
It's a spy action film extraordinaire. It's more of a guy kind of movie.
It's got Sean Connery in it.
It does have Sean Connery. So it's actually the first one that actually shows a gadget. It's a very small gadget, but it's the first one with, that becomes a big ploy of all the gadgets and stuff. But this was the first one that actually introduced the gadgets with Bond. So that's another big point on it. But I think it's a visually stunning movie. I really, really like it. So yeah. Anyway.
I agree with a lot of your points. I'm not a Bond fan.
I know you're not.
That's not. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
No, I mean, there are people watching going, sure. I'm sorry.
The great thing about this is we don't have to like the same things. That actually makes it more interesting.
But what's great also is, though, as a movie fan, I can appreciate what you're saying about it because the train scene is iconic.
Yeah.
And the scenery is beautiful.
It is beautiful.
And it's written really well.
It is.
Not all spy movies are written this well.
Right. Agreed.
Not all Bond movies are written this well. Not lying.
No, and I like some of the bad Bond movies. Some of them are just bad, but I like them anyway. But
there's nothing wrong with like a movie that is not got the best script. There's nothing wrong with that. Some of my favorite movies are B movies. People
right, exactly.
Scripts and they have terrible acting, but they're funny and I love them.
Yeah, exactly. This is not one of those. This one's actually well acted, well directed, beautiful scenes, and so wanted to point that out. We did not do Dr. No. I did not include Dr. No, but because could have done that a little earlier, but I wanted to go From Russia with Love. And again, it was at the end of my list that kept coming on and off. I do
agree with what you said with Sean Connery, with becoming Bond.
Yeah.
I think this movie is where you felt he actually became Bond.
Yes.
Which is a huge statement. To become a character is a huge statement.
It is.
I agree with you on that.
All right. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. We'll revisit Bond again later.
We will, I'm sure.
Later tonight. It'll be all right. Just a little sneak peek there. So yours, though, it's a little different, but also, a little more quirky and fun. So we're gonna go. It's up here. I'm trying to remember where I put it. It's even comedy is in its name.
Comedy of terrors. Okay, cast alone.
Right. Just look at the cast. Just look at those names.
Vincent Price, Peter Lorre, Boris Karloff.
Right.
Mean, seriously. And then Basil Rathbone, which if
Yeah.
you guys don't know who he is, you should know who he is.
You should.
Like Sherlock Holmes. He is amazing. And this movie is you basically have a comedy put on by the fathers of horror.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Beautiful. And if you love stuff like Young Frankenstein and stuff like that, but you want like, not that I love that movie, by the way, just saying, but you want something that gives you that Vincent Price, Boris Karloff, oh my gosh, this movie is so wonderful.
When you're talking monster movies, Vincent Price, Boris Karloff, I mean, those are the big names. Peter
Lorre.
Peter Lorre, yeah.
People.
Yeah.
He's one of that guys.
He is.
People don't know who he is. It's basically, so Vincent Price plays a grave digger.
Yep.
Who is an alcoholic.
Right.
And he decides that, you know what, I need to make some more money. But people aren't dying fast enough. So,
which is a great premise. You gotta love that premise right there.
So, you know what? Peter Lorre and him decide. Peter Lorre's like his friend.
Right.
He's like accomplice. That they're gonna go kill people.
Right. So you can make more money. Right.
They can make more money. They get gypped on the bill of burying someone though. And then Basil Rathbone plays their like landlord who they're indebted to, you know, they owe him money. And so they think, you know, we've been killing all these people. We could kill him. It's not that easy to kill Basil Rathbone.
Right.
Comedy ensues so much, but in a funny, dark kind of sense of humor.
Right.
And you know I'm all about that. But yes, if you ever want to see the masters of horror put on a horror comedy, because that is what this is.
Yes, it is.
Watch this movie.
Well, it says it in its name, the comedy of terrors. I mean, come on.
Oh, my mom loved Vincent Price, so I watched a lot of Vincent Price movies. Like The House of Usher was on my list. It didn't quite make it. The Pit and the Pendulum.
Yes.
Also.
Yes.
And The Raven. And he did a lot of Edgar Allan Poe ones, as you can tell.
Yeah.
This one took him out of that.
Right.
But also left him in that world.
Just enough.
No, just enough.
Oh yeah, I agree.
It's like the grandfather of dark comedies.
Right. So, it's Dark Shadows. It's Young Frankenstein. All these things that came afterwards can think comedy of terrors. So
yeah, it's beautiful. So if you guys haven't seen it, please find it and watch it. It's not like a really, really long. It's not the 4-hour epic, but it's going to entertain you.
Yeah. It's a funny movie.
Just think of the premise. You're grave diggers who need money because you have an alcohol problem. So you're going to go kill people so you can make more money. Right.
It's that there is just worth the price of admission. Just that.
It is.
No, it's definitely worth seeing. It's a very funny movie. It's interesting because you also have Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein and stuff like that. You have some feel of that, but it's a lot darker than that.
It brings the comedy, but like I said, it's like if Vincent Price and Boris Karloff were like having dinner and they were trying to like out tell each other like a joke.
Right.
This movie came out.
I like that description. That's good.
What it feels like they were trying to out funny each other, but they're the masters of horror.
Right.
So where do you go but dark?
Oh, you know what? I forgot I have another 63 one. I totally missed it. I don't know how I'm just looking back over my list, and I'm sure I would have been like later going, what did I do here?
What did you miss?
Well, and here's the crazy thing. Who's my favorite director? How did I miss this? I mean, I know this.
Did you miss Hitchcock? How did you miss Hitchcock?
Well, it was just because I was perusing my list and I didn't have them in year order. So we're talking about the birds.
I was wondering because when you were like, I'll pop up mine on the 60, and I'm like, did he not put the birds in there? Like that's weird for the professor.
No, it would have been weird. I do really like the really cool thing about this movie is the birds really don't do anything for the first 2/3 of the movie. It's all you keep waiting for it. You keep waiting for it.
You think it might be all in her head.
You
think
do.
It might be all in the whole town's head. You don't see them do anything aggressive at all. They're just there.
And there are a lot of them, but they're there. Yeah, it's a really weird, cool psychological thriller. We're seeing not in black and white, but in color, but done extremely well in color.
But even with it being in color, he uses the birds as
does. Yeah.
Which is
he does.
Hitchcock trick. He uses the bird like when they're flying over.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily see the birds, but it's like what's going on in with me right now. It is the shadows.
Right.
Hitchcock was a master of shadows.
He was a master of shadows.
So it's not my favorite Hitchcock. But
I'm with you. As you know,
Rebecca's your favorite.
Rebecca's my favorite, and then followed by Psycho. So I mean, but there's a lot of great Hitchcock movies.
So many good Hitchcock movies, and this one, it's hard to imagine a list of this time period without it on there.
Right. No, I agree. It's an iconic movie for that time frame. Plus, it's Hitchcock, so it's going to be on my list. So
right, of course,
it has to be on my list, right? I think we've left a few off over the time periods, but that's just because there's so many amazing ones. You're like, oh my gosh. So
you guys are probably watching this going, well, I could have named one here, and why didn't they name that? Like we said, it's really hard.
It is. It is extremely hard.
We could probably do 1 year and like 1 year and just focus on 1 year and do an hour show, if not longer, on 1 year from a lot of his time period. Right. And that's the hard part, guys.
Right.
So please forgive us if we forget your favorites. And if we did forget your favorites, put them in the comments. And we would love to see them because maybe we've never seen them. I doubt it.
At least for AJ. I'm she's seen a lot more than I have.
I don't know. I don't have a life. I don't have a life.
Yes, you do. Now I have to say, from probably 1940 on, I've seen a good portion of the ones you have. So
I know. Usually I get like one in there that you haven't seen.
Right.
And I haven't this time.
No, you did. You did.
Oh.
What one was it? It was Please Don't Eat the Daisies. It was it was right up top. So but I'm like, and then I'm like, I've seen it. I just haven't seen it. You know, I knew that it existed, and I'm like, I need to watch that. Okay, got it. So I hope to someday get one on there that you've not seen and make you go, yeah, okay.
Challenge.
All right. Challenge accepted there.
I think in the 70s you'll be able to, because the 70s is not my favorite time period.
The 70s, yeah. I'm with you.
There's not good movies. There are really good movies.
No, there are, but it's not as. I'm with you. From 40 to the end of the 60s, there's so many awesome movies, and then the 80s hit, and there's all these awesome movies.
Like 78.
Yeah.
On some amazing movies.
I'm going to say 77 because of Star Wars.
Okay, but that's one movie.
That's all it needs. That movie changed my life.
I'll give it to you.
We'll talk about it later. Yeah, that's fine. So, all right. So let's go with 1964. Do you know which one you want to talk about first?
Nope, just pop one up.
Okay, we'll pull one up. That's mine. Let's get back to yours. Let's do this one. Here you go. Talking about Sean Connery.
Yep. Have you
Talking
seen
about
this?
Hitchcock.
So good. So good, Marnie. So good. Here's the thing. It's a very Rebecca-like story.
It is. Yeah.
It's not your traditional it was a turn from back to the roots of Hitchcock.
Right.
But it's so good. It has this, I don't know how to explain it. It has this script that just twists and turns and mentally exhausts you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And you feel for these people, but at the same time, you don't know if you should.
Right.
And it's so well written. It reminds me of Rebecca. And Rebecca, if you guys don't know, Larry said it's his favorite Hitchcock movie. Rebecca was his first American movie.
Right.
And so that's his roots in American cinema.
Right.
Marnie, and I just find it symbolic that it's Marnie and Rebecca. It's like
right. That's true.
It's very reflective and very reminiscent of Rebecca, but with a unique twist all its own. Psychologically, it's a beautiful script.
Right. Yes, it is.
Filmed in a very 1964 style.
Right.
From the clothes to the way they talk to each other.
Right.
That shot right there, again, look at the depth behind them. And if you watch this movie and you watch it all the way through, I would say rewatch it right afterwards, because then you'll pick up on all these little details. Right.
You're not paying so much attention to the story, you're looking at the details. Right.
Because that scene there is very telling in that it's not, usually it's like you see a couple things, or it's really focused on them and it blurs everything in the background.
Right.
There are nuances in the background of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell the story before the story is told, in a way.
Right.
But it's such a good story.
No, I'm so glad you put this on your list. I'm like, oh yeah, that one has to go on the list, most definitely.
Right? It's seriously one of my favorites from the 60s. And I love Sean Connery. I'm not a huge Bond fan. And when people are like, well, how can you like him from the 60s? And I'm like, this is why.
Right.
This movie is why I like Sean Connery from the 60s.
He did a lot more than Bond. Now, Bond, he became Bond. And Bond became what, his acting career really got known for. But he was a great actor long before Bond. So.
Oh, yeah. But this one really, you just like these people.
Yeah.
Even though you don't want to.
Right. Don't you hate that? You're like, I don't really think they're good people, but I like them anyway.
There's so many twists in why they're doing it, what they did, who they did it, what was the motivation. And not all the motivations are good, and not all the motivations are bad, and not all the motivations make sense to you as someone who's watching. And that's why I'm saying, if you watch it once, go back and watch it a second time, because you'll pick up all these little cues of the motivations.
Right.
And see them come to life. And again, this is what I'm saying about directors of this time period or a little before. They were filmmakers.
Yeah.
They picked every scene for a reason.
Right. Right.
They put every prop there for a reason. Every prop in Marnie is beautifully placed. Every scene is shot in a way that pushes into the story, even if you don't realize it.
Yeah, nowadays we just have filler scenes that don't really
Right.
add anything. So, yeah.
Or you have a prop that shows up and you think it might become important and it never shows up again. And they do that in these movies, but if you really look at it, why is this little trinket on a shelf behind her? You know,
Right.
why are the cars in that scene that you put the picture of? Why is the road straight? And why is it seen so
Right.
much? And it's like a metaphor for their relationship, but at the same time, it's an illusion. Because there are turns off of that road you just don't see it.
That's true.
So yes.
Very true.
I pick up on all these things. I should have studied film.
You would have been great at that. I could have been a great film critic. That would have been an awesome job for you.
Maybe. I just write. It's okay.
It's a good thing too. No, I won't be. Well, one, you're an amazing writer. So, but two, that's a good thing too. So, anyway, all right. So my turn. Yeah. So I've been kind of all over the board with stuff. Yeah. So I'm going to go back to a little over the board and go with this movie that may surprise you. It's on my list. I was surprised it didn't make your list.
My Fair Lady. Oh my God.
An amazing movie.
It was on my long.
I bet it was.
It is my second favorite Audrey Hepburn movie ever. Eliza Doolittle musical.
Yep.
Film adaptation of a stage performance. Rex Harrison. Oh my freaking gosh.
And I put it on my list. You're welcome.
You do not know how much I struggled doing my list.
Oh, I completely know. And people watching have no idea. But I sit there and go, but
I want it on my list, but we don't have time.
Can we do another 3-hour show? And we're already an hour 32 minutes.
And it's just us talking about movies.
So, yeah, we don't even have Keith on here. Otherwise, it would be 3 hours. And I love you, Keith, and I'm okay when you come on and it's long. That's okay. So, but no, My Fair Lady is an amazing musical. I do. My kids think I don't like musicals. I'm like, no, I like good musicals. So and like High School Musical, that's not a good musical. I'm sorry. You can like it if you like it.
Disney musicals are their own genre.
But they are, but I don't consider it. It's not. It's not a typical Disney musical. It's a Disney TV show.
Disney musicals like iZombie or the Zombie High or whatever, and Descendants and the Hannah Montana movie and all of those things. Okay, they are musicals.
They are
Disney musicals. They are not the musicals that I think of when I think of musicals.
Well, but
I think of Oklahoma, and I think of Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Right.
I think of film or stage adaptations on
film. Typically. But Mary Poppins is a Disney musical.
It is.
And it's a very good Disney musical. Very well done Disney musical. So
Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
And Broomsticks. I love that one. That's a very underrated one. I agree.
But the modern Disney musicals are not what I call musicals.
No, I'm with you. So my kids think I'm crazy because I'm like, and I really liked what's the, oh my gosh, I'm losing, I can't think of the name of it. I'll think of it later. But there are musicals I really like, and then there's musicals I'm like, okay, like I saw The Greatest Showman. It was okay.
I like The Greatest Showman. I love the music from it.
Yeah, it's good music. I preferred some other ones better, but that's okay. And that's okay. They just think I don't like it because I don't like the ones that they want to hear. So
Right.
anyway, so My Fair Lady, great movie. It's a fun movie.
Such a good movie.
Yes.
I love it so much. It has the thing about it is Rex Harrison is one of those actors that's so underrated.
Yes.
He wasn't back in the day, but he is now.
Right. People forget about him.
Mm-hmm. But Professor Higgins.
Yeah.
Seriously. I love that movie. Now I'm going to want to watch it. Thanks.
Hey, you're welcome.
I have it on DVD.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
So I'm not just putting it out there and you don't have it.
Oh, no, I own it.
Okay, so here's another one I have not seen. It's one of yours. Of course, it has to be one of yours. But I'm interested to know about it because it looks like something I would enjoy. Tell me about it.
Do you not have a better picture of it?
Well, that's the one I pulled down. I'm sorry. I can find a different one. Let me find a different one also. So tell me about Hush Hush.
Hush Hush Charlotte. Hush Hush Charlotte. You would like it. You would. So it is Olivia de Havilland. You saw her there. And it's a story of, how do you put it? It's a story of murder without being a story of murder.
Right.
I don't know how to describe this one. It is on my list because I love this movie, and I'm just like, it's one of those movies I have a really hard time describing.
I can see that.
Are you just trying to find better pictures?
I am. I'm looking for a better picture for you.
It's just it's intrigue but it's drama, and it's so well acted, and it has so many depths to the characters.
Right.
That drives the story. I know that sounds weird.
No, it doesn't.
Hold on just a minute, Professor.
No problem. All right.
I'm still here. I'm just going to turn my cam off for a minute because somebody needs to talk to me.
Sure, no problem.
All right. So, yeah, it's just really good. If you find a better picture of it, let me know.
Well, I've got a different picture pulled up, so whenever you're back, you can see that. So, part of me thinks maybe I've seen it and I just don't remember it that well because there's some familiarity with it, but yeah. I'm like, and it looks like it's probably my kind of movie. And you're going to tell me how you did the camera off because I'm fascinated with that because I was trying to look for that earlier and didn't figure that out. So,
it's down at the bottom. It's like
stop cam. Is that it?
Yes. Okay.
All right. Oh, well, there you go. All right. Well, silly me. Okay.
There we go. Okay. Oh, that's a beautiful picture.
All right. I just thought it was interesting to show the picture of all the people dead.
Yes. Okay. So again, you see Betty Davis because it's Betty Davis.
It is Betty Davis.
And Olivia de Havilland, if you guys don't know who that is, she's Melanie from Gone with the Wind. Is probably her most known role.
Right.
It's a family that has secrets. I'm trying to figure out how to explain it.
And you love movies with family intrigue in them.
I do. Agnes Moorehead plays in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Love Agnes Moorehead. It's just this. You can see the professor put that up there. There's a murder. The one before that, but yeah, there's a murder. Yep. It's about the unraveling of the secrets of the murder, and the family has held these secrets in what happened and why it happened and all of this, and it spans quite a bit of time,
right,
with the family,
right.
Which I love when Betty Davis does that. I love when she tells a generational story.
She has done that in a few different movies.
Mr. Skeffington is one of my favorite movies of all time, and she did that in that. This one is psychologically way more intense, and it brings the whole whatever happened to Baby Jane kind of Betty Davis to the light a little bit.
Right.
And it's just so encapsulating into this like dark world of a family, just a family.
Right.
Like they're not like, yes, they're wealthy. They're a wealthy family. It's not like they're a poor family or anything like that. But it's just these like things, and you can see this actually happening. Like, you know what I mean? You can see like this had happened, and it's
right.
It's an amazing story. It's you love that Hitchcock feel.
Yes.
Like from filmmakers who are not Hitchcock, and it has that. It has that, and a lot of shadows, and a lot of Betty Davis in the light, and everything behind her is just darker and darker and darker and darker. So, and you're going darker and darker and darker and deeper into this. What happened?
Right.
And yeah.
So here's the interesting thing. Yeah. Our last two picks, I went musical, you went dark psychological.
I know.
Kind of.
We're rubbing off on each other. It's so crazy.
I know, it's great. In the sense, I know. Hitchcock before this one. I mean, come on, what's going on? Yeah. And I went West Side Story. I don't know.
I love West Side Story. No, there's just so many great movies to pick from, and I'm just glad that I try to mix it up. I don't want to like just be the girl who brings you musicals and comedies and stuff. I love them. But sometimes, especially psychological, movies that make me delve into the depths of someone else's psyche.
Yes,
I love that.
I do too.
So
I do too. And actually, as we talk, I like a good musical. It's just funny because normally the last several times you've had all the musicals, I've had all the psychologicals, but we've just kind of flip-flopped a little bit. And we both had our own. It's just interesting. So I've got one more movie on my list, and that'll end our list. And of course, I hinted at it. And again, you'd be like, oh, he's going back to this well. But I'm going with...
He's going Bond on me.
I am.
Help me with the Bond.
Goldfinger. Okay, the theme music alone makes this movie worthwhile. Then you get the naked gold girl. You have the one of the bad guys who throws the hat that knocks that can cut off the head of a statue. I mean, this movie is just, when you think Bond movies, Goldfinger is the standard.
I will say this. Goldfinger has, and I know why it's probably on your list, it plays with the shadows.
It does.
It plays with that kind of unknown thing. So I can see that. I like I said before, I'm not a Bond type of girl, but I appreciate them for what they are. But
and Sean Connery again is just an amazing actor at this time frame.
Let's face it, when you were a teenage boy, you just wanted to see the Golden Girl.
I'm not that and that
beautiful women in
because probably the best Bond love interest name of all time. Pussy Galore is in this movie, and she ends up being a hero.
It's the worst name ever. Just saying. I'm just like, when my dad loved Bond, he loved other things more, but he did watch Bond. And my grandmother, believe it or not, loved Sean Connery.
Well, sure.
And so I've watched all of them. But the names sometimes I'm just like, you can tell a man wrote this. You can tell a man wrote this name.
My 13-year-old boy part of me pops out and goes, "Oh, he's Pussy Galore!"
Look at her name, and she's look at the gold woman.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Well,
I understand the appeal.
You've got the scene where he breaks into the room where the girl is helping Goldfinger cheat and comes in and takes the binoculars and sees what's going on and then gets in Goldfinger's ear and basically tells him, okay, you're going to lose now. I love that. I love the moxie of that. It's like, okay, I've caught you and I'm not going to reveal it to everybody.
You're just going to lose.
But you're just going to lose everything. To a guy whose only interest is money. So I do love this movie is my favorite Bond movie of all times, and I'm a huge Bond fan. I like the bad ones. I do. And there's some bad ones, but I love Roger Moore as Bond, and some of those are horrible. But it wasn't Roger Moore's fault. But
no. I mean, I'm going to say this, like, sometimes the movies are bad because the script
is
bad.
Yeah.
Or the direction is bad. And sometimes even the perfect actor cannot pull a bad movie out of the depths of the bad.
This is true. You gotta work with something, and if it's not there. But anyway, this is my favorite Bond movie, so I had to talk about it, and also had to show the picture of the Golden Girl there.
Of course,
I had to go with that one.
Golden butt up in the air.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
you're such a man.
Some days. I'm very in touch with my emotional side, but I also like some male stuff there too. So,
He's like, naked girl painted gold.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
All right, I'm in.
With spies.
With spies, right?
And characters named Pussy Galore. You're like, yes.
Yes. Sign me up. Well, and I forget his name. It's not Oddjob, I don't think. I forget what the Goldfinger's sidekick is with the hat, but I love that hat. That hat is so cool.
Just don't ask. I don't know names.
Oh, I'm going to look it up right here because I've got it. It is Oddjob. I was wrong. I said it's not Oddjob. It's Oddjob. I knew it, and I doubted myself. Oh, I hate when I do that.
That's what happens for doubting yourself.
Anyway, so that was at the top of my list just because of my love for Bond.
You love Bond.
I do. And again, it's a male sort of thing. It's the spies and women.
I love Kingsman.
Yeah, great movie. Yeah.
All of
them. Yes, I agree.
But
I love any of those spies. Again, you get more of a thriller part sometimes in this.
Right.
And you get action, especially in a Bond movie. It's very action. You have cool cars. You got beautiful women, spy stuff. You got intrigue. So
he gets to make out with beautiful women. You want to be Bond.
You do want to be Bond.
Have the cool clothes, the cool car, the cool girls, the cool job. You get to be. It's a fantasy.
It is. Well, you get to say the cool catchphrases.
Okay.
Martini shaken, not stirred, and then Bond, James Bond. Yeah, all of that. I mean, that's just the cheesy one-liners.
No, I'm going to say this because I give you a little bit of crap for your James Bond loving thing. And I say it's a man thing. There are movies that are women-driven that are the same way, and guys are like, oh my God, it's a chick flick. It's the same thing. It's just from reverse.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with them, and cinematically, they can be beautiful, and I can still not like them, or vice versa. And there's nothing wrong with that, guys. If you find a movie you love it, no matter what anybody says.
Right. Exactly. Well, and I like some chick flicks. It has to be the right kind for me.
Smart chick flicks.
I do like smart chick flicks. Yeah, I don't want just a man bashing chick flick, and I also don't want the standard of, oh, this guy, he's treating me horrible, and this guy over here just magically appears, and I don't know.
I like intelligent women.
I do too.
But that's not to say I won't watch a stupid woman on a TV show or a movie.
It depends on what it is and the character. So
Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want a good romance, and some of those romances are cheesy as
I don't mind that. Sometimes it really kind of you have to have the right mood for it.
Right.
Me.
Well, Professor, this has been so much fun.
It has been. So Keith's got a couple of things for us real quick. Keith's on. Hey, Keith.
We love you, Keith.
Keith Movie Geek. So you just got a copyright strike. Uh-oh. What do we do? Copyright strike. Oh, no.
For what?
I don't.
What did you do, Keith? No.
We didn't show the film.
No, these films would have taken so long.
Bond films are unique. They're
totally
very different from the books. Yeah, the books. Bond is an average Joe who blends in, not Sean Connery.
He doesn't want to stand out because he's a spy. They're supposed to blend in, but you can't have that in your movie. You want him to stand out in your movie because you want him to get the girl.
Yeah, especially Pussy Galore.
It's because you want him to. You want every guy who's watching it to become Bond in their head, and they get the girl, and that's what makes them want to watch the movie, and that's what drives revenue to the movie theaters.
This is all true. Plus, he has awesome cars.
Yeah, it's true.
The 1960 films. Yeah, that's what we were talking, Keith. 1960 to 64 is what we were doing. So, yeah.
We love that.
Our next one we'll do 65 to 69. And
69.
Oh my gosh, I looked at those movies too.
I'm so hard. Yeah, I know. I feel like our easiest year, and I might regret saying this, is going to be the 70 to 74.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be my easiest ones. But I might go in there and go, I did not realize this movie was made in 73.
Yep.
74.
Yep.
Like, it might be a thing. So.
No, I'm with you. And sometimes, because I think that time frame has some really good movies, but then you're like, I don't. Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the thing, and actually, this is a true films. Here's a true statement, and this is why I think we have a problem with the 1970 films. Okay, we were born in that time.
Right.
So none of the films relate to our childhood.
It's
we
true.
didn't watch them that much in our childhood. We watched some of them, like 78, but that early 70s, I wasn't born. You were
I barely
very,
was
very young, barely born. And then the movies that we watched that are older, and people are like, well, how are you into older movies? It's because they were the ones that were being played late night on TV.
Right.
They were the ones that our grandparents and our parents watched, and they were their favorites. And then we found an actor we liked from them, and then we wanted to watch more movies from them. Like, you probably watched a Bogart movie when you were a kid with like a grown-up.
Right.
And, like, I like Bogart. And then, so they were living through the 70s, so that wasn't movies from their nostalgia. Does that make sense?
Right.
It's that key period in our timeline where it's not movies from our parents' nostalgia or our nostalgia. And so we don't find as many movies that we like in that time frame. I feel like that's how it works. I feel like the movies from, if my kids were doing this, I feel like the movies from like the 2000 to 2005.
Right.
That's the year, like 1994 to 2005. Those are the years that they were born, and they were just getting into movies and that sort of thing. And they would probably have that hard time too, because it's the decade they were born.
Right. No, that makes sense.
So it's my nostalgia movies, which they watch with me, Labyrinth and stuff like that, where my nostalgia movies are from the 80s.
Right. Yep.
So I think that's what it is. It's just a theory.
Well, I think the level of movies were just different then. Keith actually has a couple more things to say here.
Okay.
Talking about some of the movies from the 60s, talking about Ocean's 11, the original, which is amazing.
It was on my long list, Keith.
Mine too. It says the studio system died in the late 60s, 70s was post-studio films. I just think that the films are I don't know. It's kind of my memory of the 70s also. Things were kind of dark and grainy and a lot of browns, and it just...
Well, the 70s,
Oh, and Keith says he was born in the late 60s and he loves the 60s movies. So I don't know. We'll get there as we get to the 70s. We'll kind of figure out what's going on with that.
We have one more of these episode things to do for the late 60s, and then
we do
70s, and watch us find that we really love 70s movies, and we just have this idea in our head that we don't.
Well, that may be very true. It'll be fascinating to see, because I know 65 to 69 is one of my favorite time frames for movies, and I'm super excited to get there. But then I'm like, I don't know how to even get that list even close to being.
So that was me for the 40s.
I felt that way in the 40s. In both 40 to 44 and 45 to 49. Definitely felt that way. Definitely felt that way.
So I just think this is a really hard thing. And if you guys sat down and did it, I think you would find it would be a hard thing too. So
I agree.
Guys, we're at our 2-hour mark. See,
imagine that. We went over. Huh.
But before we go, we're going to mention some really great people that you should check out on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all their social media platforms. And we're going to have Professor's going to have things pop up for you guys to know where to find them. Okay? Because they'll pop up.
It's magic.
Magic. He's magic. He's the magic professor. Okay.
Magic
so
man.
First, we're going to talk about a new podcast, live stream, YouTube people. And that is the OzPod Gals. Now, OzPod Gals are part of OzCon in West Plains. It's Brianna and Amber, and they're hilariously cute, funny. Oh my gosh, so charming, and they're really, really nerdy. So, you guys, they are doing lives. They're posting videos on Thursday nights. This last one they actually pre-recorded and then they posted it. But 6 p.m. on their Facebook page. I think they're trying to figure out how they're going to be doing this thing. But super cute. They did a Disney princess kind of be our guest thing with the headpiece. Did Brianna mention? I don't know. I made that headpiece.
I didn't catch that if she did. So
I think that's the one she bought for me. She bought one for me.
That is
it looks
awesome.
Very similar. Or she might have messed it up. But
so the question I've got is, we probably need to talk to them, because if they're going to be doing it post live, which is fine, we could host their stuff too. We could throw it up there. Yeah. So we need to talk to them about that. So if you girls are watching, I am me.
Brianna, message him. I always want to do
you want to go the opposite way.
Also, Mr. Keith was on there and doing all kinds of comments, and we love Keith so much.
We do love Keith.
And Keith has his own show over on the Fat Steven Seagal's YouTube show. And it's called Keith Chimes In, and it's Mondays at 3 p.m. on YouTube. Be sure to check it out, because he has so much information, and he's so funny and entertaining, and we love him so much.
We do love you, Keith.
Keith is also part of a partnership kind of show like ours, except it's a little bit more PG-13 and not quite so PG. Not because of Keith, but because of his wonderful partner, Gary, and that is Gary and Keith over at Pop Culture Minefield on YouTube. Go check them out, because they have the scoops on all kinds of things.
They do.
Gary knows everyone. Keith will tell you Gary knows everyone, and they get amazing guests, and they keep us informed on all kinds of things. I get text messages or Facebook messages from Keith every day about all kinds of wonderful things that are going on, and he keeps me way informed, and I appreciate that about him. But if you guys want to keep informed, go to their YouTube channel and subscribe. Hit like, hit share, comment, But most important, hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss any of it. We also have 2 other amazing guys who are very, very informative and get some really cool interviews as well. And they do some amazing reviews. And that is our friends, the Nerd Informants on YouTube and Facebook. They, like I said, Tim and Josh, funny as can be. And they like to talk about things that they like. Kind of like us. And
that's kind of weird.
We're nerdy people who like to talk. It's a thing.
It is.
Be sure to check them out. Go give their Facebook page a like. Tell them that we sent you. And then hit their YouTube and hit that subscribe button. And again, it's just one button and it helps us know what we're doing right. It also helps us get seen by other people. So that subscribe button is really important.
It is.
Plus, we're kind of like everybody I've mentioned here is kind of awesome. So you guys will want to check them out.
Agreed.
You also they have a Facebook page that you yourself can share all kinds of great nerdy stuff on, and it is called Nerd Informants Beyond, and it is on their Facebook page. Like on their Facebook, you go find Nerd Informants Beyond, and you can post all kinds of nerdy things. If you have a question about a nerdy thing, there are so many people on there who can answer it for you. Be sure to check that out and give them a like. That's an amazing group. I love that group. It's so cool.
I agree.
We also have our Scallywag himself, still over at Scallywag Productions on YouTube, and we've been talking. He's got some really good ideas of shows that he's going to be bringing to you hopefully this year. He has some health issues right now, so he's on hiatus, but be sure to go check out some of his past videos. He's also been on our show a lot, and he's really, really amazing at useless information. So, but be sure to hit that subscribe button, okay? And then us. There's us.
There's us.
Cool.
Us.
KOOL.com. We have our own website. Look at that. We have like amazing content creators who write for us and put all kinds of articles on there. And they are just so much fun. And we have people who write about everything from video games to raising their nerdy kids to horror films to love of Spider-Man to Larry posts trailers and news and everything. And we try to keep up to date on that. And we try to give you guys as much information as possible. And that is GeekyKOOL.com. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook as well. Hit subscribe. But on GeekyKOOL.com, be sure to check out all the amazing content from all our amazing writers.
All right. We did have one more comment. I think it's from Mr. Keith.
We love you, Keith.
We do love you, Keith. So there we go. Have the awesome girls. Well, he was also mentioning some other movies that he loves from the 60s.
Okay. Love. I own that movie.
And one that you don't love, but I do.
I love Pillow Talk. Pillow Talk is amazing.
Pillow Talk is amazing. I agree.
And it's not here. Nerdy Talk Midwest, Geeky Cool, Ozpod, Nerd Informant, Scallywag, Pop Culture Minefield. You're good.
That's us.
That is us.
Look at that. I like that. Nerdy Talk Midwest. I like that. That sounds like we should be an official member.
Yes. We love our nerdy community, and
we do.
If you want to be a part of our nerdy community and you want to write for us or do videos for us or even just come on here and talk to us about something that you've got going on, let one of us know.
Yeah.
We'll make that happen for you.
We are happy to have you come on and talk about what's going on. And we also that there is plenty of room at Geeky Cool for you to write about what you want to write about or to do videos like this.
Yeah.
Anything that suits your fancy. If you want to do a rap video on how awesome stuff is, that's cool. We'll do that. But
if you want to play video games and like put videos of you playing video games on our Geeky Cool site, let us know.
Yep. Let us know. Exactly. Well, we are way over time, but we knew that was going to happen for this one.
It's a thing.
Even when we narrow our list down painfully.
Professor, it's It's because I can't shut up.
No, that's not it. It's because we love what we're talking about, Ace.
I can't shut up.
We love these movies. We love talking geek. We just
I love
enjoy
talking
this.
movies.
Yeah,
I love talking movies.
Well, and we, with conventions having not been a thing for a while, we're going to start happening again. It's hard to get that talk in, and so now we get to talk to each other, which is the most awesome thing.
We need our geek time.
We do need our geek time. It's important.
Well, Professor, as always, it has been a pleasure talking to you. You are amazing, and you guys just know he is the whole brains behind GeekyKOOL.
Boy, are we in trouble. Oh. So, but AJ, you're awesome. You're always awesome. You have just amazing stuff. And I love it when you get a chance to write. And I know because of your day job, that's not been as possible, but that's all right. And I do love you coming on. And I really was loving your show with Spoo when you guys were doing that.
Enigmatic events.
And that's the one.
We are going to get back to that. It's just it's hard right now. So.
Well, no, right. Most definitely. No pressure, but I'm just telling you, you're amazing on these things. I know you get nervous, but you do such an amazing job. So
I'm so bad at this when I first start. Like, every time. Then I get talking and I'm like, okay, I got this.
Right. Well, you just got to get talking. That's the important thing. I just get you into talking. So that's what works. So, all right. Keith, stop it. Cut it out. Go ahead. Tell us more. Go ahead and tell us more.
We're the geeky cool kids. Like the kids that are kind of cool, but way geeky.
Yeah, right. Well, and to prove that, I'm going to do this. To prove how kind of cool but nerdy we are, I'm going to say, Keith, cut it out.
Oh, my God. Why? Oh, my God.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's happy Batman 89th anniversary tomorrow.
Yes.
Yay.
We love the Bat.
Well,
We love the Bat's Rogues Gallery.
Yeah. I like Batman. He's just not my absolute favorite like he is some people. That's okay. I like his family a lot more. And of course, I kind of like Batgirl. She's a redhead that kicks butt. I don't know.
Who wears like really cool outfits and looks adorable in them.
That's what I'm saying.
I surround myself by nerdy boys all the time. I love it. Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to get off here because I actually got to go back to work.
Yeah, all right. Well, have fun. I got to go eat. So have fun at work.
Well, I mean, it's working from home, but I got something.
It is. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Stay geeky, and we'll talk to you later.